In the heart of an African village, beauty was a blessing, but jealousy was a curse. Genjika, a humble girl with skin as radiant as the midnight sky, had the love of Obina, a man admired for his strength and kindness. Their love was pure, whispered about by villagers, envied by many. But envy has a name. Amaka. Her beauty was sharp, her pride unyielding, and her heart could not accept rejection. When Obina chose Genjika, Amaka's soul twisted with jealousy. She sought forbidden power, charms whispered in shadows, curses carried on the wind. What happens when envy poisons the heart? Can true love withstand the weight of dark magic? And how does a village respond when jealousy turns into betrayal? This is the story of Amaka the Jealous Girl, a folktale woven with love, envy, and a timeless moral that still speaks to us today. Before we dive deeper into this powerful folktale, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with friends who love African stories. Your support helps us keep these timeless tales alive. And trust me, you won't want to miss the twists in this story. They will leave you questioning just how dangerous envy can become. There is a saying in the village, "What the heart chooses, even the strongest spear cannot pierce." And in this story, that saying would prove both true and dangerously costly. Genjika was no daughter of wealth. She lived with her widowed mother in a small, weathered hut at the edge of the village. Their walls were patched with clay, their roof thin with old palm leaves. Yet, when Genjika stepped outside, she carried herself with the kind of grace that wealth could never buy. Her skin glowed like polished ebony, smooth and dark as night after rain. Her eyes held the calmness of a quiet river, and her voice was so gentle it could hush a crying baby. On market days, she wore her one fine wrapper, blue and white, tied neatly, with red beads resting against her neck. She would balance a calabash of palm oil on her head, and as she walked, villagers greeted her warmly. "Genjika, your back is strong. Your beauty shines like morning dew." But the truth was, beauty alone was not her blessing. Genjika's greatest wealth was her spirit. She laughed easily, worked tirelessly, and loved deeply. And the one who received that love was Obina. Obina, son of Okoro the hunter, was a man admired by every young boy and respected by every elder. Broad shoulders, a ready smile, and a laugh that rolled like thunder after rain, Obina carried both strength and gentleness in equal measure. He was the kind of man who could chase antelope by day and still sing softly to his mother at night. It was no surprise that many maidens admired him. Yet his heart belonged only to Genjika. Every evening, when the work of the day was done, he would arrive at her doorstep with roasted bushmeat or roasted plantains. They would sit together by the stream, laughing, dreaming, speaking softly of the future. There, beneath the old Iroko tree, he made his promise. "Genjika, under this shade, before the earth and my father's spirit, I swear I will marry you." Genjika's heart swelled with joy. Love had chosen her, despite her poverty. But in every sweetness, flies gather. Amaka was one of those flies. Her beauty was undeniable, skin smooth, eyes sharp, lips red as palm fruit. But unlike Genjika's gentle beauty, Amaka's was fiery, biting, like pepper that burns the tongue. She was the daughter of a first wife from a wealthy family, used to attention, used to respect. And she could not accept that Obina, the man she secretly desired, would give his heart to someone like Genjika, a poor girl from the edge of the village. At first, she tried to hide her bitterness. She smiled at the festivals, joined the dances, even greeted Genjika politely. But inside her heart, anger brewed. She thought, how can Obina ignore me? Do I not wear the finest wrappers? Do I not walk with grace? Am I not from a household of status? Each time she saw Obina with Genjika, her pride bled like a wound. The breaking point came during the New Year festival. The whole village had gathered, drums thundering, dancers moving in colorful wrappers, the smell of roasted goat and palm wine filling the air. Amaka dressed herself in her finest red wrapper, tied firmly across her chest, beads dangling from her ears. She looked like fire itself, proud and bold. She approached Obina with a smile, carrying a wooden bowl filled with spiced snail meat, his favorite. The drums slowed. People watched. It was no secret that Amaka admired him. But Obina, polite yet firm, shook his head. "Amaka," he said, "the heart chooses where it will rest." My heart has already found its home, beside Genjika. The words struck her like a spear through the chest. Before the eyes of the village, she had been rejected. Her smile cracked, her hands trembled. She turned away, but inside, her heart shattered like a clay pot dropped on stone. That night, Amaka lay awake, staring at the roof of her father's compound. Sleep would not come. Each thought of Genjika was like fire in her chest. The laughter by the stream. The whispered promises under the Iroko tree. The refusal before the village. Jealousy grew teeth in her heart. And when jealousy grows teeth, it does not bite its enemy first, it bites its owner. Yet Amaka could not see this truth. She only knew one thing: if she could not have Obina, then Genjika must lose him too. Whispers began to spread. They said Amaka had been seen walking toward the house of Daima, a medicine man feared across 3 villages. His hut smelled of burnt hair, his shelves were stacked with bones of animals no one dared to touch. Few went to him unless their hearts carried darkness. What did Amaka seek from him? And what price was she willing to pay? But before we reach that shadowed path, let us pause and ask. Have you ever seen jealousy turn a friend into an enemy? Or watched envy destroy what could have been peace? This was the turning point of the story. For Genjika and Obina, love was a blessing. For Amaka, it became a curse. And when jealousy stirs in the heart of a woman scorned, the village itself may tremble. The night was heavy with silence when Amaka crept through the village paths. The moon hung low, casting shadows that stretched like restless spirits across the ground. Dogs barked faintly in the distance, as if warning of unseen danger. But Amaka's heart was deaf to warnings. Pride and jealousy guided her steps. Her destination was the hut of Daima, the medicine man feared even by elders. Children were told never to wander near his home. His compound smelled of strange powders and burnt offerings, and his walls were lined with charms no ordinary eyes could understand. When Amaka entered, the air grew thick. Dried lizard tails, bones of birds, and feathers of owls dangled from the roof. A fire burned low in the corner, smoke curling with the scent of charred herbs. Daima himself sat cross-legged on a mat, his eyes sharp, his hair tangled like roots. He spoke first, his voice deep and unsettling. Why does the daughter of a wealthy man enter the House of Shadows? Amaka bowed slightly, her face set with determination. I want what my heart has been denied, she said. I want Obina. Daima studied her in silence. Then he shook his head slowly. The heart chooses its own path. To bend it is to offend both earth and spirit. What you sow, Amaka, you shall harvest. But envy is stubborn. Amaka's ears were closed to wisdom. She pulled a string of coral beads from her neck, laid them before him, and whispered, I want Genjika forgotten. Let her beauty fade like an old wall. Let Obina's eyes see her no more. The fire crackled. Daima frowned, yet greed touched his gaze. He reached into a gourd and drew out a powder made of crushed lizard tails, dried yam sprouts, and the feathers of a dead crow. He placed it in a small clay pot and handed it to her. Sprinkle this at Genjika's doorstep before dawn, he said. But remember, the earth sees. The spirit hears. There is always a price. Amaka clutched the pot tightly. She nodded once and left, her shadow stretching behind her like a warning she refused to hear. That night, while the village slept, Amaka crept to Genjika's hut. The moonlight washed over her face, revealing the fire in her eyes. She scattered the powder across the threshold, whispering under her breath, Let your beauty wither. Let your heart be forgotten. May Obina see you no more. The deed was done. She returned home with a small, wicked smile. But what Amaka did not know was that spirits rarely obey out of kindness. They twist, they turn, and they watch. The next morning, strange signs began to stir. A crow cawed 3 times as Genjika stepped outside. Her mother, sensing something unusual, quickly rubbed her daughter's forehead with white chalk and prayed for protection. Yet despite her mother's prayers, something shifted in Obina's heart. At first, it was subtle. He forgot to visit the stream one evening. Then he stopped bringing roasted bushmeat. Soon, he began to avoid Genjika altogether at the market, by the evening dances, even along the village paths where once they had walked side by side. Genjika's heart grew heavy. She would sit beneath the Iroko tree where Obina had once promised marriage, waiting for him, only to be met with silence and shadows. One evening, while drawing water from the well, she overheard two women whispering. "Have you seen? Obina now sits with Amaka, eating kola nut and roasted meat. He does not leave her side." The words pierced Genjika like arrows. Her hands trembled, spilling water on the ground. That night, she confronted Obina, her voice breaking with pain. "Obina, why do you avoid me? Have you forgotten your promise?" But his eyes were clouded, his voice distant. "My heart no longer finds you, Genjika," he said coldly. Then he turned and walked away. It was not Obina speaking, it was the shadow of the charm, pulling him away. Yet to Genjika, the pain was real. Grief has a way of changing even the kindest spirit. 4 days, Genjika wandered in sorrow, her laughter gone, her eyes dim. Villagers who once praised her beauty now whispered, "What has happened to the girl by the stream? Her glow is fading." But Genjika was not one to break easily. When pain pressed too hard, she turned to the spirits of her ancestors. One night, under the pale moon, she went to her mother's grave. She knelt, tears streaking her face, and swore an oath with white chalk in her hand. "If my love was true, let those who tore it apart know no peace." She fasted for 7 days, eating nothing, speaking no word, bathing only in the stream at dawn. On the 7th night, as the village slept, an old woman appeared to her in a dream. Her skin was wrinkled, her eyes like stars, and in her hands she carried a mirror. "Child," the woman said, "your cries have reached the heavens. The gods have seen. They will answer." And so, the harvest of envy began. Obina fell ill suddenly. His skin broke out in sores, his laughter turned to silence, and his tongue grew too heavy to speak. No medicine could heal him. Amaka, too, began to suffer. One morning she woke unable to speak. Her voice was gone, replaced by violent coughing. Feathers spilled from her throat. The village grew restless. Rumors spread quickly. Elders gathered, demanding answers. At last, Daima, the medicine man, was brought before them. Under pressure, he confessed. He pointed to Amaka, naming her the one who sought dark charms against Genjika. The village erupted in shock. Mothers clutched their children close. Fathers shook their heads in anger. Amaka's father, filled with shame, disowned her on the spot. By ancient custom, those who used dark medicine to destroy love or break betrothals faced only one punishment: exile. And so, Amaka the Jealous Girl was cast out, left to wander with her bitterness, her beauty wasted, her name stained. But the story did not end there. Obina, pale and broken, sent word to Genjika, begging for forgiveness. Yet Genjika, her heart scarred, now stood at a crossroads. Would she choose revenge, or would she rise above the pain? The answer to that question would seal the final lesson of this tale. The village square was silent, yet heavy with judgment. The Iroko tree loomed tall as elders gathered beneath it, their faces stern, their walking sticks pressed into the ground like anchors of tradition. Amaka stood before them, her head bowed, her once bright beauty dulled by shame. Around her, villagers whispered. She used charms to destroy love. She coughed feathers, surely the spirits are punishing her. Envy has eaten her heart. Obina, pale and frail, sat nearby, unable to lift his voice. His illness was the echo of Amaka's envy, the price of charms no man should touch. Then came Genjika. She walked into the square with dignity, her wrapper tied firmly, beads gleaming against her dark skin. Despite the tears she had shed, her eyes were steady, her steps unbroken. The villagers quieted, for her presence carried both sorrow and strength. An elder spoke. "Genjika, you have suffered the wound of envy. Obina's heart was turned by poison, your joy stolen by jealousy. Now, by our custom, Amaka faces exile. But before judgment is sealed, what do you say?" All eyes turned to her. Genjika lifted her chin. She looked at Amaka, then at Obina. For a long moment, silence ruled the square. And then she spoke, her voice calm yet powerful. "I hold no hate. The earth itself has judged them. Let the spirits repay what was sown. I will walk a new path. Gasps rippled through the crowd. To forgive so deeply, to choose peace over revenge, that was a strength greater than anger. The elders nodded. Their verdict was swift. Amaka would be exiled, cast away from the village to wander in disgrace. As for Obina, he would live, but only if the gods willed it. His sickness was beyond the healing of ordinary herbs. That day, Amaka's father disowned her fully. She wept, but her tears brought no relief. She had wanted love, yet her envy left her with nothing, no family, no friends, no home. And so, Amaka the jealous girl walked away, her figure shrinking on the dusty path, never to return. Obina, weak and trembling, sent word once more to Genjika. He asked for her forgiveness, begged her to stand by him in sickness, prayed for the chance to renew their promise. But Genjika shook her head. Her heart had been scarred, and though she forgave, she could not forget. To bind her life to Obina again would be to live in the shadow of broken trust. Instead, she chose another path. Genjika journeyed to her mother's maternal home in Obodu, a neighboring land. There, she devoted herself to healing. Guided by her sorrow, she learned the secrets of herbs, prayers, and chants that mended both body and spirit. Over time, her name became known across villages as the woman who could cure broken hearts and drive away charms. Her beauty remained, but it was no longer just the glow of her skin or the curve of her smile. It was the strength of her spirit, the wisdom of one who had endured envy and risen above it. And so, the tale of Amaka, Genjika, and Obina was told from mouth to mouth, from elders to children. Around fires at night, storytellers would pause, letting the lesson sink in. Do not let envy nest in your heart, for it grows teeth and bites its owner. What is meant for you will always find you. And what is forced by jealousy or deceit will crumble like a clay pot in the rain. Sparkles the moral. This story teaches that envy, when left unchecked, destroys not only its target but also the one who carries it. Love cannot be stolen by charms or secured by pride. True love rests where it belongs, and peace belongs to those who release hate. And that, dear friends, is the folktale of Amaka the Jealous Girl, a story of love, envy, and the wisdom of forgiveness. What do you think? Have you ever seen how jealousy can ruin friendships or families? Stories like this remind us that envy may burn hot, but it always burns the one who carries it first. If you enjoyed this tale, don't let the story stop here. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who loves powerful African folktales. Your support helps keep these timeless stories alive, passed from one generation to the next. And remember, more tales are coming, stories of courage, betrayal, magic, and mystery. So stay with us, because the next story might just leave you breathless. Until then, let the fire of wisdom guide your heart.